by the end of the 90s, like 99, 2000, people just wanted to have fun, have shit blasting loud. Now everybody wanted to be in fucking hoodies with Timbs pulled up with baseball bats. Not everybody wanted that anymore.
Because you make a good point, because during that 2002, you had the Lil Jon era. You had everybody wanted to be fun.
Loud and fun. And
that Lil Jon
But that's when y'all said it started kind of down.
It started coming back around like what? You're better with these years than I am.
Lil Jon resurrected hip hop?
Man, you need to stop. You gonna have Nori trying to call me? I don't want to talk to Nori.
Where do you fit in all this?
Well, I'm a one-man team that does a job with no glory affairs. I got a little problem together. Boy, what a headache.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Dead End Hip Hop. Joined by the 430, Mike Seatown. Standing in for FIFO is Yo.
Who is Yo?
I write for DJBooth.net. Yeah, I just got words. That's about it. I write about everything, rappers, other writers. I review reviews, so check me out.
He causes the most shit, I think, on the internet. Out of DJBooth, I think he probably stirs the most trouble. Yeah.
Who else want to whoop your ass besides Kid Cudi? Wasn't there another guy that wanted to whoop your ass?
Well, you and Wale are cool now, right?
Oh, Wale want to whoop your ass?
No, he doesn't.
He doesn't anymore.
It's surprisingly, he took the criticism really well. I'm very honest. So I give you your pros with your cons, and a lot of rappers can't take the cons. So I end up getting into a little arguments. People will send messages to my editors, DM my other editors. It's fun being me sometimes. You know.
Before we get into the topic today, make sure you guys, if you like this video, head over to patreon.com/deadandhiphop and show your support, man. Make sure you follow us on all the socials, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, etc., etc. Sign up for the newsletter for special announcements, offers, and stuff like that. All that stuff coming soon. So anyway, we got Yo here to talk about the Vince Staples comments. By now, if you haven't known, Vince Staples actually came out, was under fire for comments he made about 90s hip hop. So the headline was that Vince Staples says that 90s hip hop is overrated. Vince says, he didn't say that. He said, what did he say? He said that the 90, what was this exact quote?
90s rap gets a lot of praise. I don't really know why.
Yeah. So that was his statement. But he was still kind of saying it was overrated.
They took it out of context, which was weird. How they just took a headline, they just took a quote that he did not say, it made the headline. And of course, they wanted clicks, and they got clicks. But yeah, I don't know how many people actually listened to the interview with him as he was talking about it, because mainly he was talking about how he grew up in a different time. You know what I'm saying? He was born in '93, I think. So the rap that he grew up on was so far removed from the early '90s because he was just being born. So I guess for him, looking back, he didn't understand, you know, like why it's so acclaimed, why people just like so stuck on the 90s. And I can see it coming from I was born in '91. Like you grow up and you're around music, and of course if you're interested in hip hop, people will tell you the albums that you gotta hear. They'll call them classics, right? They'll be like, you gotta hear Illmatic, you gotta hear Reasonable Doubt, you gotta hear 36 Chambers. Like there's albums that you must hear. And I remember feeling like no one would tell me why. No one would tell me what made these albums classic. They're just like, well, you'll hear it, you'll know. And I was listening to Lil Wayne. I was listening to Cassidy, Fabulous. So you listen to somebody like Nas in 91, 92, 93, 94, it's not gonna be the same. It's not sonically, it's not gonna sound the same. It's not gonna resonate with me the same. It's gonna be kind of like, what is this? Why is it so important? So that's how I looked at his comment, because that's where I'm coming from as well. Just trying to understand the music of a time that I did not live. And it's kind of difficult. Like sometimes it just does not resonate.
I can almost understand where he was coming from to a certain degree, but then you turn around and say, Lil Bow Wow's your favorite rapper. Like, come on, dog. Like,
why can't Lil Bow Wow be his favorite rapper though?
Yeah,
I don't understand what the issue is.
That's what I don't understand. Why does it have to be a troll? Like, why can't Lil Bow Wow be?
It is a troll.
It is a troll. Why does it have to be? Like, why can't you say Lil Bow Wow is my favorite rapper and be taken seriously?
Because nobody takes Lil Bow Wow serious.
That's fucked up.
Even if he's honest, I think that maybe Vince is comfortable within himself to say that.
You gotta be uncomfortable.
But I think, with the amount of ridicule that, Shad has taken over the years, I think you would try to at least disassociate yourself with it.
But didn't he? But I know he was talking about like the '90s hip hop. But didn't he name like 5 of his favorite rappers was from like that era? Didn't he name like what Lauryn Hill?
Oh yeah.
Was it Snoop? Was Snoop was one of them?
I think Snoop.
I think Snoop
I think
was one
Snoop
of
was
them.
like his favorite person. I don't think they say like Snoop's a rapper. Yeah.
But I think he named like 5. I wish I had that list. He named like 5 rappers that was all from the '90s era. So it made me question like, well, why would you say that when you listen to some of your favorite MCs?
But
from the
I
90s?
think some people talking about like with Snoop is like post like maybe 2005 Snoop or 2004 Snoop. It's like later on in their career, except for Lauren, of course. But yeah, like I think that a lot of people that he named, it was later on in their career that he got into them. Like I know I didn't.
They're from the 90s era
but
that he's
not,
talking about.
but not the '90s music. Not the music. The artist might be from the '90s, but if you listen to Snoop in 2005, 2006, like Drop It Like It's Hot, that's not Doggy Style. That's a totally like it's a rapper from the '90s, but the music is not from the '90s. That's what he's talking about, the music from the '90s, not just the artist, but the music.
He doesn't understand why it receives as much acclaim as it does. But I would think that as a rapper himself, you know, going back and listening to those albums, he would understand the reason why.
But I mean, but why does he have it?
No,
That's what I'm saying.
I don't think so at all. I don't understand what the big deal is. He's a child, basically. How old is he? 18?
Nah, he's like 21.
That's still 18 to me.
Yeah,
We're old.
yeah.
18 to 21 is the same shit for us. So I mean, why would you really expect him to hold those albums to high acclaim? He's young. He doesn't know anything about those albums, and maybe he didn't have a dad like maybe that we had that made him listen to old music. Like if your dad didn't make you listen to old jazz records, you probably wouldn't like old jazz records. You'd be like, this old folks shit.
But I did go back and listen to them myself. Like my dad played music around the house that I've heard, along with my mom as well. So I grew up with an appreciation for what I was hearing. So I understand like why people would say, you know, 70s and 80s music and some of the 60s music is great. I wouldn't overly criticize it because I wasn't born in the era and don't quite understand it. Like I get it. You know, like the music is music. I don't understand why, you know, he doesn't understand why people praise that era as much as they do.
You know, I'll take it one step further. Think about this. Let's say his parents had him young, right? So let's say his mom might be 40. So his mom is, I'm not trying to be funny.
Wait, you say had him young?
Yeah, he's 21, right?
Okay.
So let's say his parents had him young.
Okay.
And I'm
His
not
mom's
trying to be
40
funny,
now.
but
Okay,
let's
okay.
like say his parents are around your age or my
Okay.
age, close to my age, right?
All right.
Maybe they didn't play that 90s rap around him. Maybe they were playing 2000s rap around him or 2001 rap
they
around
was young
him.
at that age.
Because they
was
were young.
20.
Your parents and my parents were playing older shit because they're older.
You know what? I can understand an attachment to what you listened to growing up, right? Because that's defining, that's creating this foundation, right? You know,
Your teenage years.
yeah, exactly.
That's when you're an artist.
Exactly. But again, I think you can still like to say that he doesn't understand why it's held in such high regard. I just don't quite understand that. You're talking about some of the best hip hop albums of all time that were released during that time period.
You were there though, right? You saw these albums.
You were there too. Shut up.
I thought he was making a joke.
No, it wasn't.
There wasn't a
It
man
wasn't
show.
funny, though.
But it was like but you was there. You got to see these albums.
Yeah, but
You
I
got
wasn't
to
there
feel-
when.
You got to feel these albums, right?
True, but I wasn't there when What's Going On was released.
But your parents were. I wasn't gonna say that.
You put it. You're like, God,
No, I felt it coming. I felt the powering up, right? You're like,
He about to hit you with it.
he was ready.
I wasn't gonna say that. I was gonna say your parents were.
Yeah, but true. But at the same time, like even though, like, you know, okay, I was there and I grew up listening to it. But I can also go back and listen to some of the albums and understand why these albums were important and why they held in such high regard.
That's you. You're one person. Vince Staples is a totally different person. I can say from my personal experience being close to his age, like you were saying, my parents, they were funny about music. Because my parents, they didn't want to raise us around like a bunch of curse words and stuff. So we didn't really listen to rap growing up. And when it was rap, it was like clean rap, the cleanest rap. Coming from that, it was like when you wanted to learn by yourself, you got the internet, you have your computer, and you want to branch out. Of course, you first gonna start off with the stuff you hear on the radio. You know what I mean? You're gonna do the T.I.s, the Jeezys. So when you're growing up in Atlanta, you're so far removed from the stuff that people hold in the highest regards as far as New York rap or maybe some of the West Coast stuff. You're growing up on Atlanta rap in an area where you're around your peers or people that's in the same area, that listen to the same music. So there's really you don't have no guidance, especially when your parents aren't really guiding you. Until like, my dad loved Jay-Z, but he didn't really play Jay-Z around us. So when you come in that kind of environment, you're branching out for yourself. You're trying to find these things for yourself. So now you're self-learning. So if you're being self-taught, you're gonna miss some stuff. You're going to miss something. You're not gonna understand something. You don't have anyone to talk to about it. So I don't know what Vince's case was, but it seems like to me is that he just didn't really have anyone to be like, this is why this is important. This is why this is important. He just basically coming from his own perspective of, this is what I grew up on and I can see that impact. So he looked back and he's like, I don't understand why you guys hold that up to such high regard and not maybe the post 2000s. You know,
I guess it's just because Vince, the type of artist Vince is. I mean, isn't he like a lyricist in it?
But why does that matter?
Like, because it's like it's somebody like is a lyricist and it just holds that in high regards when it comes to rap. It just makes sense for them to like the more, you know, like conscious and not conscious necessarily, but just not Bow Wow. You know what I mean? Like
that's
it just doesn't
like
seem right.
That's almost assuming saying that because you rap a certain way, you can't like a certain kind of music.
No, not like you know what I mean? Because I like, you know, I like shit that bump in the whip. You know what I'm saying? But that don't mean that that's the only thing I like. But I'm not gonna say that that's my favorite music. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say like the Biggies and the Pacs and stuff like that. I'm definitely not gonna say a fucking Bow Wow or like he said earlier, like Rob Bass and nothing like that. Yeah, I danced like shit to Rob Bass and Kid and Play, but I wouldn't say, oh man, this is like the best hip hop of all time. Like even though I loved it as a kid, but I still wouldn't say that. So I guess that's why, you know what I mean? Like,
I got you.
You know, if it was someone else, like I don't know,
what
like
if you would have said like, if you would like Nas,
I am hating on Bow Wow. I didn't like Bow Wow when he
you would say
was
that
popular.
made sense, right?
Say what? Say that again?
If he liked Nas, he was like, Nas is my favorite rapper. You would say that makes sense, right?
I think that was kind of weird. But
Yeah, I wouldn't say it makes sense.
You think that's kind of weird, right? But Bow Wow is kind of weird too.
I'll be like, he's done his history, basically.
If a young dude is growing up to listening to, you know, it's Kanye West's first album that he listened to, College Dropout is his Illmatic, you know what I'm saying, or his
that's what it's going to
36
be.
Chambers or whatever.
It's going to be that, yeah.
Yeah.
But like I said, like a lot of people when they don't go back, because we got so much music to listen to now. It's very hard to take time and be like, all right, let me go back and listen to this.
Internet is so flooded.
Right.
Yeah.
So you really don't expect kids to be as hip. But I think my problem with the internet is there's a lot of screaming at each other. There's not a lot of talking, it's just a lot of screaming at each other. You don't really discuss. You just yell back and forth until someone gets thumbs tired. You know what I'm saying? So with the whole Vince thing was you just saw a bunch of people yelling at him. Just yelling at him. No one talked to Vince. Even
I thought Noriega did.
Oh no, see.
But didn't that start off as Noriega being like threatening?
Yeah,
It got weird. Like I said, their situation didn't change until he got him on the telephone. Until he called him. Because the thing with Twitter is you got 140 characters to try and get someone to understand what you're talking about. I stopped debating on Twitter. You got to call my phone.
And I think Vince told him that. Then Vince told him like, you know, you got my number,
call me.
Hit me up.
Because this whole back and forth on Twitter, man, we're just yelling at each other. No one is understanding.
Don't you think it's kind of ridiculous that deserved a phone call?
Yes.
Yeah.
Why the fuck is it any of your business? This is no disrespect against Noriega,
Nah,
but why is it any of your fucking business what I'm listening to on my iPod?
Right.
Worry about yourself. Why are you calling me? You ain't got shit. Go make an album.
Right.
Well, he had.
Go make an album.
He did, I think.
Well, go make two. Leave me the fuck alone. I would be so angry.
I would too.
When you have 90s rap, like all the guys that we grew up on, you know, Jay, Biggie, you know, Pac, all those dudes, they never really openly disrespected the generations
That's
before
what I
them.
was gonna say. Yeah.
It seems like the mid 2000s is really where that started, where dudes were just like,
Yep.
I don't give a fuck about
Fuck.
these guys.
Yep.
I'm doing what I'm doing now. So you have to think about that too. Like he's coming out in that era where nobody's really talking about the previous generation.
Okay.
When we were coming up, people were still talking about Big Daddy
Exactly.
Kane and Rakim and you know,
PS5, Grandmaster
yeah,
Caz.
and all those dudes and Grandmaster
Yeah.
Caz. Like people were still talking about that. Like who that came out in the 2000s,
Right.
or at least the mid 2000s, were really even talking.
And they
about
still
it.
talk
Because
about
the
them. And they
80s
still,
and 90s,
even though they may even think that they're better, but they'll still say, look, it wasn't for these guys.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? We wouldn't be who we are.
Ja Rule wasn't really doing that.
Right.
You know, Bow Wow definitely wasn't doing that because he probably didn't know.
Right.
And I think the
Right,
sound,
he was a
there was a
kid.
drastic
Right.
change in the sound right
From
around
that late
2000,
90s
right?
to
Yeah.
yeah.
I just sound what
yeah.
the perspective of what rapping was.
Right.
You know what I'm
But
saying?
I think part of that, well, I think part of that also came because their sound was different and they kind of strayed away from the 90s so hard. Like they almost had to find like something. They had to find the
You
shield.
had the internet, like
Yeah.
the internet came in. so-
Internet was a big factor. But it made me think about like Waka Flocka. I remember when he came out, he was like, he didn't care about lyrics. Like to think a rapper like that wouldn't come out in the 90s. You couldn't say that. You could not say
couldn't
that.
say I don't care about
So
lyrics, yeah.
I mean, you come even if you didn't disrespect any of his elders, like that's disrespectful on so many levels because it's just like that's what mattered. That was our
Right.
bread and
That's
butter.
part of the MC.
These-
That's part
right.
of you being
So
an MC.
for you to have a rapper that's gaining acclaim and being popular that just does not care about lyrics, that says a lot about the time. And like you said, this is the time that Staples is a teenager. So he's seeing this, and now by the time he's making his own music, it's just a totally different kind of place. He's in a totally different kind of place. And I also think regional, it matters. Where you come
Yeah,
from,
that's
and
all.
where
Yeah.
you at.
Upbringing
Yes,
too.
all this stuff factors in what kind of music you grow up on.
But to not understand.
You still hung up on that.
Yes, I am.
So
I
wait,
am.
when your son is maybe 15, 16, and he hasn't heard any of the classics,
That won't happen.
Yeah.
That won't
so
happen.
you won't. But see,
Like we're starting now.
That poor kid.
That won't happen.
What if he be like, Daddy, I hate this shit?
like,
Yo, kick him out the house.
damn, he wants to play like.
Daddy got me listening to this old ass music again.
You want to hear the whip Nene. You know what I'm saying?
Which he loves, which every kid loves.
Wait, they might not love like halftime.
Wait, that's a song?
Yeah.
That was a dance.
It's both.
Nah,
With Nene is a song? Who is it by?
What's the kid?
Silento or something like that.
Silento?
Is that
Okay.
his real name? That's his rap name.
This probably just rap name.
I won't control what he listens to like that. Like
What he likes in his private time. But when he with you, he's gonna hear.
That's fair.
I get
yeah,
it.
that's,
No,
I didn't have a choice when I was riding with my
Exactly.
dad.
Yep.
It's just, it was Cameo. It was Ozzy Brothers.
Millie
You know.
Jackson.
Yep.
That band, Urban
Yep.
and Fire,
Yeah, exactly.
Temptation.
And I wanted to hear what was on the radio. Nope.
Right,
No,
right.
yeah,
My dad had those cassettes. He was popping in, and it was
That was it.
That was it.
That was it. Yeah.
And that's all I had to listen to.
It's a different generation, man. That's how our parents were. Like, my dad wouldn't even let us listen to rap music because he said that he didn't like it because all it was bragging. And he's like, how the fuck am I gonna sit here and listen to another man bragging?
Never thought about that.
Because you're not old. That's what old people think. He's like, I'm over here working 9 to 5,
Right.
and I'm gonna put something on and listen to some other motherfucker talking about how much he. That's why I have that perspective. I don't want to hear that shit either.
And my mom says all they do is yell. Yeah, that's all she said. All of this yelling. I'm like, but they're not really yelling, but she don't understand. It's noise and it's yelling.
Right.
That was it.
My mother was kind of the same way until I made her understand, like, this is why this album is dope or whatever. And she started liking a couple of songs here and there, and then she thought she was cool. And my dad, yeah, she thought she was cool. Thought she was cool. You know, she was listening to oh man, it was a song. What's that song? How Do You Want It?
Thought she was doing the shit, man.
Ma, you was not cool. She was like, play that, that's my jam. But my dad didn't really like appreciate hip hop until Tribe Called Quest came out, because a lot of the records that they sampled, he had those records. Like, he literally had these records. Like, oh,
That's crazy.
bam, let me play this. I'm like, damn, I hear it. Like, let me play this. So my dad, I mean, he liked Chuck Rock too, which is hilarious and another. He loved Treat 'em, doom, 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 doom.
Treat 'em good.
My dad loves that song, but that was pretty much like my dad starting to appreciate or like hip hop, and my mother was like, you know, I pretty much had to like tell my mother like, okay, this is why this album is dope. This is why I like this. My mother like Mace. I was like, why?
My mom like Mace.
A lot of moms like Mace.
Mom's
Yeah,
She like Mace.
because Mace was friendly.
Yeah.
He had the demo.
Always smiling.
Yeah, always grinning. He wasn't angry and
No,
gangster.
but she liked the music before she even saw who he was.
Oh, yeah.
So you know, I remember my
It was
sister.
kind of light.
Yeah, it was
kinda light.
It was.
Yeah, it was.
There's a big difference between a classic album and a good album. Just because something is classic doesn't mean it has to be good to everybody. It just means that it influences.
No, I agree that you don't have to like a classic album, but
But that's basically all he's saying.
Yeah, that's all
he's
I'm
saying
saying.
that I don't understand why this era is held to such a high regard. So basically what he's saying is these classic albums that came out, he doesn't understand why they're held to such a high regard. Well, I listen to old ass, like I said before, like old Rolling Stones and Monkees. I don't understand why that era was held, like the 50s. I don't understand why that shit was held to such a high regard, because that music is not good to me. Some Girls is a terrible album to me. But other people will be like, nah, this is classic.
I think it's because
So people think
I think why people
you have to enjoy it.
I think why people are getting mad about that statement is because that era kept hip hop alive. Like those classic albums is what kept hip hop around.
but
And
not
it
only
No, it didn't.
But,
No, it didn't, bro.
but-
Because think about it, hip hop died after that,
Did
and then
it
it got
die?
resurrected in the 2000s.
Oh yeah,
Those albums didn't keep hip hop alive. It basically killed hip hop.
Those albums killed hip hop.
I'm saying, okay, see, I'll stand by that statement. I'll stand by that statement. Think about it, like after those albums came out, what happened to rap music? It totally fell by the wayside for how long? And then when did it come back?
I
In the
think
2000s.
no. I think what happened is the end of the '90s,
Okay.
and that's what ushered in that kind of.
that microwave.
Yeah,
with
that's what ushered in
releasing
that.
album,
But when did that come out? Like when did
Yeah.
that start getting hot?
It was
2000s.
Yeah.
It was that late night.
Because I hated
After
Master
those
P.
albums.
After
I hated Master P.
after Big and
No, I
Pac
said
died.
I
But
hated
see,
at the time. I did not understand. I hated all this shit. I'm like, this
Big
motherfucker's
Pac-
not rapping.
The two most popular guys running the
Got
rap
too many
at the
people
time. My bad.
just-
Yeah, listen to what P just said though.
I am listening. I'm trying. It's like 3 people talking at the same
No, I
time.
was just saying, after Pac and Big died, pretty much the two we considered the kings of hip hop.
Okay.
After they passed away, like me and you talked about before, like that 97, 98, 99, it got.
No.
weird.
Okay, so
Got weird.
just to go back to Mike's point, like he said that hip hop died off. Like what time period would you say it kind of started dying off?
The really late 90s and then early 2000s.
Early
Hip hop got
2000s.
resurrected in like close to the mid 2000s.
Right. So what I'm saying is that so when I say the 90s, that era right there kept it alive, and then when people start making music like that, that's when it started dying.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. So if people would have kept making albums like those, not those early classics, maybe it would have stayed alive a little bit longer.
I disagree with that part.
Okay.
Because by that point, people wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
They didn't want to be. Not everybody wanted to be thugs in the street. By the end of the 90s, like 99, 2000, people just wanted to have fun, have shit blasting loud. Not everybody wanted to be in fucking hoodies with Timbs pulled up with baseball bats. Not everybody wanted that anymore.
Because you make a good point, because during that 2002, you had the Lil Jon era. You had
Yes.
everybody wanted to be fun.
Loud and fun and
yeah, that Lil Jon
But that's when
era.
y'all said it started kind of dying.
It started
off,
coming
right?
back around like what?
Lil
Dude,
Jon?
you're better with these years than I am.
Lil Jon resurrected hip hop.
Man, you need to stop. you gonna have Nori trying to call me? I don't want to talk to Nori. So Ken's still mad.
I am. I think if you give a person a list of albums and say all these albums are critically acclaimed and they were released during the 90s era, I think you can look at that and say, okay, I understand. You don't have to like all of the albums, but you can understand it.
Think about giving your son a list of albums from 2015 that was super popular. Give him DS2. You think he gonna understand Future?
I would never give him the
But it's a significant album 2015 though, is it not?
unfortunately.
So what I'm saying is, not everything's gonna make sense to someone later on. It makes sense to us now, but to them later, Future.
But I still think it's a list. These albums, all of the albums
You can
here,
do that.
10, 15, 20, whatever, how many you want to
Your
put,
team-
came out. The artists, the rappers, the albums.
Not always gonna resonate.
But you don't
But you
understand
can
why
look-
Future's so hot, do you?
But
Stop there.
No, wait, no, wait. I want to finish what I'm saying. If I could give Vince and say,
man.
Vince, here are all of the albums that came out in the 90s era that are held at that are critically acclaimed, right? He can look at that list and we're talking about Metacritic. All these people are saying these albums are it. Like it's known. It's a known fact, right? He can look and say, you know what? Okay, I see why people are holding this era in that regard, even though he doesn't have to like all of the albums there, but he can understand.
What if he didn't even hear half the albums on the list?
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
It
You
doesn't
can look at the list and say these are a lot of albums that came out in the 90s that helped define,
Right.
the
And you know
particular
these people.
decade.
I don't care who you know these people. You know who these people are.
Right.
You know who these
Yeah.
people are, but like I said, if you don't understand the music, how do you?
Doesn't matter.
But how does that not matter? How does that not
It doesn't.
matter?
You need to understand
the
this.
music to understand the impact and the impulse and everything else. If you don't understand it, what
Kids
difference
gonna
it
mess
make?
around and look at a list that says Ice Cube's name on it and think about, are we there yet? Okay? If you did not hear it, it's not gonna resonate.
Look, I understand what you're saying, guys are saying, but I'm still saying that factually you can look and say all of the albums that came out in this particular day and this decade. How can you not understand? Okay, you know
What
what?
I'm saying is, like I'm saying, just if you give someone a list of albums they've never heard, but rappers, they might know the names, but never heard these albums, how are they supposed to know?
He can accept it, but doesn't mean he has to understand
Yeah,
it.
that's what I'm saying.
He's not saying that this is wrong. He's just saying I don't get it.
I don't get it.
And obviously, this is a dead-end conversation. We can go on and on about this.
Yeah, because
bro.
I got opinions too.
Man, damn. Yeah, I forgot. So, anyway, I don't even have any closing statements. Fuck yo.
I don't know why I brought your
But
ass
I mean,
over.
this.
Nah, see why people be
this
coming
is
at your
exactly why-
That's why Cuddy gonna whoop your ass.
But no, this is exactly why Yo was important to this conversation because he can relate to it more. I mean, shit, he was born in what 91, so he can kind of relate to Vince way more than I can, and probably anybody else sitting here. So anyway, man, that's it, man. Let us know your comments in the section you like this video. Support us on Patreon, patreon.com/deadandhiphop.